Okay, this is Simon and Eric. They're both from News Limited, and they've been working on some really interesting stuff looking at trends in social demographics. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, we're looking at some kind of the data you can get around your local area or your postcode, so you can kind of go, I live in this suburb, what can I find out about it?
Yeah, a lot of it's about, there's a whole bunch of data available that you just wouldn't know existed, and a lot of it's interesting in deciding where you want to live based on what it's actually like, and it's also really interesting just to compare. It sort of gives you a sense of what the average is in the suburb,
right? And
that's not always obvious when you're living there.
And you mentioned before you're able to look at trends in different suburbs, what's happening, what's going up, what's coming down, and how that can inform people's decision making, say if they're moving into an area.
Well, it's great. Like, data has a historical element, like you can then plot it against whatever metric it is, and suddenly you can start realising that, oh, hang on, car thefts going up in my suburb, but other things are going down, or there's more pollution or something like that, depending on the data, which kind of helps you go to your local government and say, hey, what are you doing about this?
Yeah, and it's probably a really good tool for decision makers to use when they're looking at investments in suburbs where they'd put community resources, perhaps community infrastructure. Could it be used in that way?
Definitely, yeah. There's just such a broad scope of information available that you can really dive into and get a sense of what's happening with everything from crime to education to pollution levels.
And you guys are from News Limited, so that's just a coincidence, or do you think journalists will be able to tap into this information as well and use it to, get those facts to back up a story, that kind of stuff?
Potentially, I guess you like a lot of journalists are always looking at the ABS data and trying to pull out the data they want. Maybe if they can look at something like this and say, hey, there is this bit of data available, maybe I can go get the raw data itself and get that kind of stuff.
So it just makes the data more accessible for journalists researching a story, maybe looking at the history of an area.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's got to be a good thing. So thanks very much for talking to me, and thanks for your contribution here at GovHack.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, Doris, you've had a long night here at GovHack. What have you been working on?
Well, we've been working on meshing up the lobbying database with the Austender database to see if there's any relationships between the suppliers that actually win tenders and government agencies, various government agencies, and then lobbying companies. And so we are going to visualize those relationships and figure out who's better positioned. So that's the idea, to at one point figure out who's better positioned to probably win a bid in the future. So all we did right now was getting all the data together, getting it in one database, and then built some little bit of an interface with a visualizer and information boxes.
Well, it's certainly been an interesting relationship, but to be able to put it together in a visualised way will make it usable and understandable by just about everyone, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's the whole point of GovHack, because providing the data is one thing, and then making the data accessible and getting rid of all the clutter in the data and actually providing information, that's another thing.
Yeah, well, it's I know you had a late night last night.
Yeah.
What time did you get to bed in the end?
Oh, well,
not to bed, I know, to sleep.
Yeah, well, probably at 2,
right.
But all the guys in my team, actually, the hardcore hackers, they've been working through all night. And I felt bad coming back in the morning, I had some hours of sleep.
Yeah. And you live in Melbourne, so you've come up especially for GovHack in Canberra?
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it's such a fantastic event, and a friend of mine, she told me about it, and it was just announced 2 weeks ago. And so I looked at it and booked the flight, and yeah.
Well, it's part of a bigger thing, Mashup Australia, through the Gov 2.0 task force. So we're really pleased that you took the time to come up to participate, and really appreciate the work you're doing. That's great. Well, we're still at GovHack. This is John from Census. He's been hacking away all night long, John?
Not quite. I had a couple of hours of sleep.
Oh, well,
A couple of hours.
so that's why you look so fresh and sprightly this morning.
Thanks for a couple of hours of sleep.
Yeah. So tell us what you've been working on.
So what we've been trying to do is build community pages of a suburb and plot out why a community is good and basically what things there are in the community. So why would you buy into that area? Why would you live in that area? What are you missing out on there?
So if I've got kids, would that help me determine if it's the right kind of suburb for, say, kids between the age of 5 and 8?
Yeah. So we're trying this thing of getting it into different groupings of demographics. So there are places that would have more cafes, more parks, that type of thing, which would suit the family.
Good for parents. Good for families.
Yeah. And then there are the other areas that have no parks whatsoever, lots of restaurants, lots of nightclubs, and that type of thing, which is obviously much more for the younger generation.
Yeah. Or the older partying generation.
Yeah, or the ones that haven't quite got to the age of family. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And how important is using geocodes and geospatial data to the work Census is doing at the moment?
Well, the whole world is going mad.
Yeah. Right.
So everything has to be geocoded. And you'll find that lots and lots of the sites now the maps are becoming much more prominent. And as soon as you want to do things with inside locations, then you really need the geocode to actually make it fit on that.
And the release of geospatial information from government, what's that looking like at the moment? Can you get what you need?
In certain parts.
Right.
But not totally.
We could do better.
Definitely.
We'll take that message away. Thanks very much for your time this morning, John, and thanks for participating in GovHack.
Thank you.
Well, we're still at GovHack. It's now just after 10 a.m. in the morning. I'm here with Brenda, Will and Cath, and they're going to tell us about what they've been slaving over overnight. Maybe Brenda, you start.
Well, we've taken the data from the archives. They have a table of agency data which describes the agency that created each of the documents that the archives store. So they, of course, have lots of documents in their storage, and we've found that there's about just over 7,000 agencies over time.
7,000? Gosh.
Yeah, because it's spread, I've forgotten the start date.
It's in 1901.
1901.
So
for a long
since
time.
Federation.
Since Federation.
And there would be agencies that obviously are before that as well.
Yeah, some of the time series start actually before that.
Wow.
And then looking at the end date for each agency, so looking at the ones that are just current, that comes down to about 2,500 agencies now, which is still a bit scary when they're meant to be just federal agencies. But each of those agencies is a separate record-keeping place, so it might be the Department of Defence in Benalla,
right,
or something like that. So that's why there's so many. And there's about 212 functions defined. So that would be different activities. Can't remember any examples of those.
Do you want to describe those activities? So the original purpose of the idea was to get a sense of what it is that the government does, so that we can then think about, well, where as citizens do we want to intervene in the Gov2 world. So in order to do that, you need to know, well, what is it that the government does? So I was thinking, well, functions and activities of the government. So it's things like well, defence is a high-level one, and immigration, but quarantine.
The important thing to add to that as well, if you have a good idea of the totality of what the government does, you can also start to see gaps a bit more. I think we have, it's a lot of cultural knowledge about what government does, but we don't have a great idea of the small little gaps that might crop up. And often they crop up just when a problem emerges all of a sudden. But if we can start to be a bit proactive about that and think, okay, we can see in advance, 5 years' time there might be a gap in this sort of area, we can actually be proactive.
Look, I was thinking the same thing, and I should say I'm on the advisory council of the National Archives, so I have a sense of, that amazing repository of all of the Commonwealth information, which is they hold on behalf of all the citizens. But then using what you're doing to inform policy development, areas of policy that we need to monitor carefully in the future by mapping trends. That's all going to be really helpful for us as politicians and decision makers, as well as the citizens learning more about the government. Government's often a bit of a mystery for people, and that they want to know more, and the more they know, I think the more confidence they can have in the government. Absolutely. I hope.
And that's what I think is so important about this whole GovHack event and having the government data openly accessible, is it lets people transform that data into the view that interests them at the time, at the moment. And so it ends up being a lot of the people doing that will tend to do it in an open way, so they'll make it accessible to other people. So you gradually build over time these totally different new ways of looking at all the information and joining it together in new and exciting ways.
Well, I love the visualisation that's being achieved with the data. I think you really do have to be an expert to be able to read tables and compare it. But what's happening today, starting to get a sense of it is that it's going to democratise all that data and make it really meaningful for people in a way that you can look at it and understand what it's telling you.
I think one of the key things that Cath was talking about the other day is very much that we have great sets of data here that we can start to make more transparent, make more open, and that's a really awesome thing. But there's also a huge amount of cultural knowledge inside the totality of the government that normal citizens just don't have a great grasp of, and if we can make that transparent as well, that's a really great democratic thing.
And look, if you can achieve that, I think GovHack has achieved all its outcomes. Can I thank you all for participating?
Yeah.
It's a really exciting time, and you've put in hours and hours of work, and we look forward to seeing the outcome. Thanks.
Cheers.